Hello and welcome to Kenny's G League, the unofficial podcast for the Rip City Remix. Today we're going to talk about last week's games that the Remix played. We're going to look ahead to some exciting games coming up just in the next few days. And then we're going to have a chat with friend of the program, Ozzy, who is a young Blazers and Remix fan that knows quite a lot about some upcoming draft guys, some guys in the G League you may know, like Ron Holland and Ryan Repair. And we're going to talk all things draft, remix, and some hopes and dreams of his for the Blazers coming up here. So let's get right into it, and we're going to talk about the games that we saw last week from the remix. Last week, the remix played 2 games against the Memphis Hustle, going 1-1, losing the first game, winning the second game. The first game on Sunday was very exciting. I was in attendance for that game. I was excited in part to see some familiar faces back in Portland. The Memphis Hustle have Rodney Hood, who is, of course, a Blazers legend, and they also have Blazers legend and who was going to be a remix legend, Michael DeVoe. They both came through town. Rodney Hood, of course, has hit one of the more iconic shots in recent Blazers history, and after going through some injury hurdles in his career, is back playing basketball for the Memphis Hustle. Unfortunately, in the game, he left after just 12 minutes of playing time, pretty frustrated, and it looked like maybe he rolled an ankle or could have been a worse injury, if I'm being honest, just judging by the look on his face. He left the court kind of mid-play without a timeout being called and went straight back to the locker room, which is very disappointing to see, and never came back out on the court or to the bench. So that was pretty disappointing. All the best to Rodney Hood. Hopefully it is not as serious as it could be, and he's able to make a full recovery. That would be excellent. Michael DeVoe had a pretty good game, 20 points, 4 assists, 5 rebounds in 30 minutes, only 1 of 6 from 3, but quite a good game from him. Leading the Memphis Hustle with 23 points was DeJon Jarreau. 23 points, 12 rebounds, 6 assists. He had an excellent game. The game was quite close. The remix started to pull ahead in the third quarter a little bit, but in the fourth they only scored 15 points and were not able to put this one away. Very exciting game. Some of the Hustle players, when they clinched the win at the end, were talking some trash to the fans. I don't know if I appreciate that, but it is at the very least entertaining. He was walking basically from one end of the court, kind of taunting the fans about that win, because it was an exciting one. So credit where it's due. They pulled that one out. In the rematch on March 4th, the Remix were able to win that game 137-111. They were led, well, let me look at the box score here, led by Kevin Knox with 33 points, 9 rebounds, 4 assists. Kevin Knox has been absolutely ballin' for the Remix so far in his short return to the team. I hope he's called back up to the NBA soon. Maybe he can stay for our playoff run here, but he certainly seems to be deserving of an NBA contract. He's been playing awesome, playing some of his best basketball, in my opinion. 33 points, 9 rebounds, 4 assists for Knox. Tajay Moore, who's been playing point guard recently, 22 points, 7 assists. I think he's been doing quite a good job with Ashton Hagans spending his time with the Trail Blazers. Tajay Moore playing de facto point guard there. And Antoine Davis continues his three-point shooting barrage. He just hit 100 three-pointers on the season, first to do it this season. Alex Reese has had some excellent games. He put up 28, 9 rebounds, 6 assists. I'm a big Alex Reese believer. I really enjoy his ability to stretch the floor with his three-point shooting. He's been looking really good recently. So that puts the Remix going 1-1 on that little homestand last week. That puts them in 5th place in the West. You might remember to make the playoffs, you got to be a top 6 seed. The Remix are 14-10 right now in 5th. In 6th place, Santa Cruz Warriors 14-11, very tight there. And in 7th place, the Texas Legends, who come to town on Sunday. The Texas Legends are 14-12. They've just lost their last 2 games, so it was even tighter. They were 14-10, of course, before that. So let's move to this next week's games against the Texas Legends. The Texas Legends are going to bring some familiar faces to town this week. We, of course, know Greg Brown III. He's been having quite a nice season for the Texas Legends. And they also bring former Trailblazer Brandon Williams, fresh off of a Player of the Week award for the G League. He's been having some fantastic games recently. We'll look at some of his highlights in just a moment here. Greg Brown, Brandon Williams, those are who we're looking for. Greg Brown has put up some nice games over the past few weeks and really through the whole season. Let me pull up some of his stat lines here so we can get a feeling for what he's been doing. In his most recent game, Greg Brown had 19 points, 10 rebounds. Let's see here, 2 steals. I mean, he's looking good. He hasn't really stretched his game to the 3-point line yet. Of course, that's not really his game. I was curious if maybe someday he could add that, but haven't seen it yet. And then we've got recently, like I said, Brandon Williams putting up some heaters. He put up 31-11 the other day. Before that, against the South Bay Lakers on March 2nd, Brandon Williams put up 46 points, 9 rebounds, and 8 assists. My goodness. He's been balling out. So I did a quick little search. It looks like he will be traveling with the team. He's on a 2-way, but he's not going to be spending his time this week with the Mavs, at least according to one Mavs reporter. So look for him to be in town. He's been balling out. And it looks like Greg Brown, who of course is also on a 2-way, has been spending most of his time in the G League. And so I would expect him to be in town as well. If I see that anything changes about that today or tomorrow, I'll throw that up on Twitter if I can find anything there. But as of right now, I'm expecting them to be in town. So the Texas Legends, they are right at the top of the league in several categories. Let's get a feeling for what they do best. The Texas Legends lead the league in points per game at 121.4. They also lead the league in three-pointers made at 399. They are darn near the top in field goal percentage. In field goal percentage, the Texas Legends are second at 49%. And in three-point percentage, they are also second at 38.4%. To compare, the Remix's field goal percentage is 21st in the league at 45.8%. And the Remix's three-point percentage is also down a little ways. They are 23rd in the league at 34.5%. However, if we go to three-pointers made, the Remix are right behind the Texas Legends at 15.1 a game, and the Texas Legends are 15.3. So not nearly the percentage that the Legends shoot, but darn near close the makes. So as we've talked about before, that's a big part of the Remix's plan this year. They shoot a lot of threes, and when they make them, they're usually pretty good. When they don't make them, it gets a little uglier. So hopefully that stays. In rebounding, that is where the Remix have a little bit of a head start over the Texas Legends. The Remix are 9th in the league in rebounds per game at 46.9, and the Texas Legends are down at 26th at 43.3. The Legends also are 3rd in the league in blocks per game, 7.7. The Remix are 6th at 6.9. So the Legends score a lot of points. They're an excellent shooting team, and hopefully we see a repeat of that Alex Reese game, going 5 for 5 for 3, and Antoine Davis keeps his 3-point shooting up near the top of the league. That would be excellent. I'm excited for that game. Sunday's game should be really fun. It's a nice 3 p.m. start. Be excited to be at the Fruit Bowl for that game. Now, with all that out of the way, let's get to our conversation with future Remix GM. I don't know if that's really what he wants to do someday. Ozzy. He is a young Blazers and Remix fan that I sat just a few seats away from at the Ignite game a couple months back, and it was fun to talk to him about these Ignite players that I don't really know nearly as much about as he does. He has some thoughts on Rayan Rupert. He's been a big Rupert fan since before the draft, and he has some other ideas of what the Blazers could look to do this upcoming summer and beyond. So let's get straight into our conversation with Ozzy. All right. Today we're joined by friend of the podcast, Ozzy. Ozzy, how's it going?
Yeah.
Good. Thanks for hopping in and talking about the G League and some of these young players today. That'll be fun. Before we get going, just to kind of get us off on the right foot, something I've been thinking about because I was looking at the Blazer Collector website a few days ago was some favorite sports memorabilia of mine. Like I used to collect basketball cards and stuff when I was in school. Basketball cards were big for me, and I was always sending in cards to the Blazers. I think I just sent it to the practice facility, maybe, or something, or maybe it was even the Moda Center, and would ask for autographs. And I got a handful back from players. Those were always pretty fun for me. I remember I had like a Derek Anderson signed card and some kind of like random players like Ruben Boomshay. I got a signed card from him. And those were always pretty fun. What is a favorite piece of Blazers memorabilia or basketball in general memorabilia that you've got?
For Blazers, I would say I got like a Brandon Roy jersey from
Sweet.
his rookie
Yeah.
year.
Oh, awesome.
But then like all NBA, I think I have the 2003 Kobe Bryant All-Star jersey.
Oh, sweet. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So when did you start following basketball?
I've been like following most of my life since I was like
Cool.
old enough to know what it was.
Yeah, totally.
I think when I was in, I think 2015, I could first sight the whole Blazers roster by their jersey numbers.
Really?
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. That's totally what I used to do when I was a kid. I think I got into the Blazers when I was in like I don't know, like fourth grade, I want to say, something like that. Whereabouts were you when you started getting into basketball?
I like I've been playing since I was in like third grade.
Oh, dang.
But when I've like really started like nerding out on it, it was like
Yeah.
summer of fifth grade when I just got 2K and I just like started.
Yes. That is like the perfect way to get into it because that's like what I used to do too. I would just like go over to a friend's house and we would play. I can't remember if it was 2K or NBA Live at the time, and we would just like do the trade machine, I guess, essentially on like his Xbox, and that was always really fun. That's such a great way to get into like figuring out how, I guess basketball works and stuff. Um, and you like keep up with basketball pretty religiously, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. And so one of the things I wanted to talk to you about today was like some of these guys that have either been on the remix or just in the Ignite. And so I guess there's no better place to start off than Ryan Rupert. He's one of my
Yeah.
favorite players to watch this year on the remix, though he hasn't been there too much over like the last month or something like that. But he had a great start of the season here. So what do you like? What are like the positives that you like about Ryan Repair?
Well, like pre-draft, I think I had him at 14 in a mock.
Really?
So I'm going because he was like I would say consensus top 25 guy. Like
Okay.
people were high on Ryan Repair.
Okay.
I think the reason why he fell so much, he did have offensive. I don't know, like he was very raw. It was like
Sure. Okay.
solid defense, 94-foot guy, but
Yeah.
then just once he put it together on offense, he would
Hmm.
be a project on offense.
Okay.
That was kind of
Interesting. Because I remember, I don't really follow draft stuff very much at all, to be honest. But I remember at the time, like he was at the draft, wasn't he? Like in person, um, which I thought
yeah, he
was kind
sat
of
there for
interesting. He
like
did.
a while.
Okay. Yeah. Because he was, second rounder, and you don't usually
I
see
was
them.
actually in France at the time of Ryan Repair getting
Oh,
drafted.
no way.
So I was sitting in like a little Airbnb in France
Yeah.
when Repair and like when Wimby got drafted, I could hear like people yelling in the streets.
Really?
Yes, because there were like a bunch of like posters everywhere. Stay up to watch the draft.
Oh, no way.
Yeah,
So what time would that have been there?
it was like 2 a.m.
It was 2 a.m. and you could hear people like cheering when he got drafted.
Yeah, I could
That is
definitely hear a few
awesome.
people.
That's really cool. That's really cool. And so they were obviously hyped about about Wemby out
Hmm.
there. And what was kind of the was there any hype about Rupert, even though he was playing in New Zealand, I guess? What are
I
kind of the
bet
feelings about him?
for Repair, I feel like definitely, I feel less nationalized than Wimby,
Uh-huh.
but in his local region, I bet there was probably something going on
Yeah.
there.
Oh, that's cool. So he was I remember the Blazers saying after they drafted him that they also had him like uh projected as a, top 20 pick or something like that.
Yeah,
And
Joe
so you
Cronin
had him
said.
there as well.
Joe Cronin said that they got three guys that they had lottery grades on.
Yeah. Okay, interesting. And so now that he's played a handful for the Blazers and played quite a bit for the Remix, what have you kind of seen this season that either, makes you more optimistic about his trajectory or maybe less? I don't know. What have you seen this year?
I've seen flashes.
Uh-huh.
Like I've seen remix games where came out, dropped 20 points, good efficiency, played defense. It just interests me because like he's still growing. Because he went from like 6'7", 6'6" ish
Uh-huh.
to like a good 6'9" guy.
Interesting. Yeah. Yeah, that's really interesting. I'm super hyped about him and I mean, I wasn't expecting his three-point shooting to be quite what it is. He was shooting like 40% or something.
I feel like he has like a higher ceiling than Chris Murray,
Yeah,
just in terms of how good they can actually get. Like I think he could
right.
be like really good for us and be like the starting small forward of the future.
Yeah. I mean, if I could, just kind of like dream about like a Scoot, Shaden, Ryan
Repair.
Rupert
Then
meeting
we
his
draft
potential,
Sar.
then you draft Sar. Do you I hardly follow, like I said, draft stuff. Do you have any feelings about Sar?
I feel like if the pick can go anywhere depending on who drafts, but if it is the Blazers, we are
Okay.
going best player available. Sar has the best ceiling in the draft. He can be an all-star. He can be that. Well, I don't want to say franchise guy since Scoot Shaden, but
Sure.
he can be a very good all-star level player. His offense is raw. He's averaging
Okay.
10 points. Defensively, presence in the paint, stronger than Wimby and Chet at their
Hmm.
size because he's similar size but but more built than those
Right.
guys were at the
Okay.
time.
For sure.
If he can
Interesting.
get his shot together, he can definitely play the four. If not, he'll be more of like a solid role playing five.
Okay.
But mm,
Yeah.
I do think that is the pick for us. And then
Okay.
for the Warriors pick, I would
Yeah.
love like there's a few like NBA ready guys
Hmm.
just at the Warriors pick. And then we would also have the 34th pick, which is still really good for us,
Right. Right. So who would
and
you
the
have? Let's
40th
see.
pick.
Where are the Warriors slated right now? Somewhere around, I don't know, 15th
14.
or something, 14.
Hang on, I'm pulling up my last mock draft.
Yeah.
Um, Here we go. I had SAR. I did a lottery simulation, so we had the number one.
Okay, awesome.
I had SAR going number one. So I just picked as a Blazers, and the rest was auto drafted on
Sure,
FanSpot.
sure.
SAR number one. We took Tyler Smith out of the G League Ignited at number 14.
Okay, interesting.
So I see him as like a raw, like he's really athletic, like
Yeah.
jump out gym, tall, can guard, can shoot,
Hmm.
just salt 3-and-D role player. Love him. Also at that range, a pick of Ryan Dunn, great defender, but I feel like too similar to Repair as in great defender can come in, be a really good defender, just raw on offense.
Okay.
Can't play offense. That's the way. And then at 34, for some I had Justin Edwards to the Blazers, which he's like 6'7",
Okay.
played 2 out of 3,
Hmm.
really high ceiling, top. If it was just going off of ceiling, he can be a lottery pick.
Yeah.
But he has the lower floor. But if he hits. We have sixth man kind of Jordan Clarkson vibes.
Okay. Okay, he's that type of player.
Yeah, he can just go out and
Interesting.
get buckets.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. We'd be stockpiling all the 6'6" to 6'8" wings, which would be pretty great.
But he's more like a shooter.
Okay, cool. Okay.
And then at 40, I was taking Bobby Clipman, who
Okay, I
just
don't
fell
know
to me
that
for
name.
some
Who's
reason.
that?
He's just he's not he's gonna be a project,
Okay.
but he has a high ceiling, kind of like point forward,
Mm,
good like I feel he's good passing IQ, can shoot the ball. And that similar to Bob Miller, who's in the draft, just kind of 6'10" point forwards, athletic,
oh, wow.
raw.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, interesting. Does I feel like in the remix season we saw maybe some small flashes of Rupair having like some point forward skills,
Yeah.
even if it's not like his main thing. I feel like there's some skills there. Do you feel like you've seen that?
I could definitely see him as a good ball handler. I don't know if he
Yeah,
has like the passing necessarily as a
sure.
point.
Yeah. Yeah. I would agree.
He is a
Okay.
lot like Nick Batum.
Yeah, I mean it almost feels silly to like make that comparison because it's so on the nose. But he sure feels that way to me. I'm a big Rupair believer. I want to see him as the starting small forward in a year or two, in a couple of years.
Yeah.
Let's see here. And then do you have any feelings on guys like Ron Holland? Talk to you
I feel
briefly
like
about him
Ron
during the Ignite
Holland
game.
has a very high floor. Like he isn't going to be like he's going to be a guaranteed solid role player. But like
Yeah.
if he gets his shot together and like starts consistently hitting a 3 pointer at like a 35% clip at least,
Hmm.
he could be like all star buckets, good best great defender. Like the defense is why he is a lottery pick. Can
Right.
play offense, can cut to the basket, but if he can start shooting the ball, like well, we saw that a little bit in the Ignite game.
Right. That's why I feel kind of torn because I know shooting is his thing, and then he came to Portland and he was hitting everything, and he like had his best shooting night of the season. So I'm always like, oh man, if that's the guy that you could get, that would be incredible.
And like imagine him with like Scoot and Shaden.
Yes.
Because you could
Yeah.
have Scoot like out there, but then just imagine Shaden and Ron Holland just cutting to the basket.
Yeah. That would be a dream scenario if you could run those three as your starting one, two, and
Because what we
three.
need around Scoot is just a bunch of cutters and shooters, like
Yeah.
perfect off-ball players.
Right. Right. That's kind of what I think too. And I've been kind of torn this season with Scoot playing alongside, Ant.
Yeah.
because it's been
because
it's
Ant's
been
like
kind of
not
tough.
a playmaker.
Yeah,
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 I know
that's
I've
been a
already made
tough
this
one.
comparison,
Mhm.
but Ant is basically just Jordan Clarkson.
Yeah, I mean you're kind of right, and it's tough because like Scoot is such an incredible passer,
Yeah,
and I feel so bummed that we didn't get to see just 82 games of Scoot and Shaden side by side. That was really what I wanted to see most this season, I
hmm
think. And I actually really love Ant too, but that was what I wanted to see most this season was seeing Scoot next to, more of what an ideal fit next to him would be. So it's such a bummer that we
yeah.
didn't see that. And it would be cool if
I've
Holland could
loved
be
it.
that guy
Yeah,
too.
I've
I'm
loved
sorry.
Ant since he was drafted. Yeah, I've loved Ant since he was drafted, but we have to trade him.
That's how you're feeling now?
He's just in the way of like everybody's development because we can't keep him and Shaden together. Like that's just
Yeah.
wait. And then Shaden at small forward just seems wrong.
Yeah, I'm not a big. I know there was some national podcast or whatever recently that was like, yeah, you could move him to small forward and it could work. And I'm like, I don't know if I see that vision really. Maybe if like literally every single thing broke perfectly, where like Scoot becomes an incredible defender, which I think he could, and Shaden becomes an incredible defender, and he grows another couple inches, and then I just
And we
don't
get like
really see
two
it.
like huge 7-footers in the
Right,
front court,
right, yeah, exactly.
which could be Sar actually. Sar and Aiton.
Yeah, that would be really interesting.
Aiton could get the chance to play the four like he's always been wanting to.
Yeah, he keeps trying to show us that he can hit that 15-footer and kind of be like LaMarcus Aldridge or something, who also didn't want to play center, but kind of was a center.
We just need Aiton to dunk the ball, then he'll be good.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's pretty spot on actually. Okay,
Nurk of a 40-inch vertical.
wait, what?
Nurk of a 40-inch vertical. Just
Nurk
keeps
with a
you know how Nurk would always like how Nurk would
Yes,
like always just like shoot those like little 10-footers and then just miss it off the front of the rim.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nurk with a 40-inch vertical is probably would probably be my favorite NBA player. And then let's see here. Let's Matas Bazelis. I am very torn on him. What are your feelings on Matas Bazelis?
I like him. If he was in a different situation, I think people would consider him over on Holland.
What do you mean by that?
Well, they for one, the G League Ignite roster does not make sense. They have a point
Right.
guard, doesn't pass the ball. You saw the
Yep.
point guard.
Yeah.
Cannot pass the ball for the life of him. Von Holland was in the corner wide open. They were just screaming for it. Didn't get it. Then they have three elite wings that could go in the top 20, Tyler Smith, Ron
hmm
Holland, and Buzelis. You can only start two of them. I mean, and then they have Itan Amalsa, who could be
hmm
going in the
hmm
first round.
Yeah. Yeah, he would be interesting actually if he
Just
fell
like
to
them
30 years.
learning.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like their roster construction doesn't make sense in that just and Tyler Smith being on the roster and Ron Holland and Zealous, it's like means that they only all get like that much when they could be like a number one on a
Right.
good college team.
Okay. Yeah, that totally makes sense. Yeah. And
Like,
I remember when they came through town, the game that I saw, I think Bazelis only played like, I don't remember,
yeah, he only played
15
like
minutes or something.
he did not play that much and only had the opportunity to take three
Yeah.
shots, which he made two of.
Yeah. Yeah. So what's kind of the upside of Bazelis? Because just from looking from afar, I don't really see like the shooting yet, at least not the 3-point shooting. It's been pretty kind of underwhelming, but the
Mm-hmm.
length is there. You know what I mean? So what's kind of like the upside of Bazelis?
6'11",
Yeah.
high IQ. Like he can make the pass. People were calling him like a point forward in like 2022 or something. It
Hmm.
was absurd. It was like I think 1 or 2 years ago they were calling him like the unanimous number one guy.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Like no, because they were saying let's go back to like 2020. They would say
Uh-huh.
Amani Bates, Buzeles,
Hmm.
LaMelo and Cade. Like that was
Okay.
kind of the little.
Yeah.
Wait, I'm forgetting about what draft. Who was it? I don't know. 2022. I wasn't paying attention to that draft.
Sure. Yeah.
But
Interesting.
like, he just had like a bunch of hype.
Okay.
But frankly lived up to Holland and Sardis kind of popped out of nowhere in the
Okay.
co-patch.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
that's another player that's interesting.
he
Okay.
just,
So he's got the elite athleticism and IQ, but
I
everything
feel like
else.
I don't want to ever compare anybody to KD. KD's
Yeah.
almost one in a million, but kind of KD light.
Uh-huh. I see. Katie,
Picture
yeah.
this kind of 6'11" guy does not want to be like if he if Buzelis could put on if Buzelis would put on muscle, I
Hmm.
guarantee he could play at 4 or small 5.
Yeah. Yeah.
But he doesn't want to. I feel like there are signs of him getting his shot together. If he can shoot, we would draft.
Hmm. Yeah, it's tough to draft a non-shooter sometimes, especially with the
Yeah.
Blazers right now, probably.
But
Um,
you could see like during transition in those Ignite games, he was just the fastest guy down the court.
okay, yeah, that makes sense.
He would like outrun like Ashton Hagans would try and get back on him. He would
Yeah.
just outrun Ashton Hagans, just like Euro step, bam.
Yeah.
Could do that.
Hmm.
Him and Holland would just him and Holland are both incredible in transition and can just scoot, throw. Aiden gets rebounds, throws a scoot, outlet pass up court.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's something there too. Do you think either of them are gonna maybe surprise where they go in the draft?
Buzelis or Holland could fall,
Yeah. Okay.
but I could see Holland going anywhere from 1 to 15. Like it's a
Oh wow.
range.
Oh dang.
Buzelis not as high as Buzelis, similar thing. It's just the draft. The whole there's like different clumps of the draft that are just like grouped together, and it could go any order.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. That's an interesting way to think about it. My understanding is that this is kind of like a unique draft because more teams, since there's like no consensus, more teams will be drafting like for fit or something like that.
It's not a bad draft necessarily. It's just there's not going to be like 5 All-Stars or whatever, but there's just going to be a bunch of role players for the next decade.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, that's interesting.
Because in
Now
terms of groups,
in terms of
there's like
groups.
a whole group in like the early to late 20s. There's like a
Mhm.
whole group of the 6 3-point guards.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Tyler Kotek, Jared McCain, Judah Nance, um, like Juan Nunez or something.
Hmm.
Tyrese Proctor and Bronny.
And oh, right. Right.
That guy.
Yeah, that guy. Oh, that's interesting. I didn't even realize that. Huh.
Yeah.
And that's seems pretty I can't really remember too many other drafts like that.
Yeah, there's just like different sections of,
Right.
oh, you want this guy, trade to this pick or
Hmm.
whatever.
Yeah. It's really interesting. Do you think the Blazers will keep both picks if you had to guess?
Oh, we're keeping all of our picks, if not trading for more. I feel like this
Oh.
is just the draft, stock up on role players and
Hmm.
just was like I feel like there's a few guys that would just fit really well with Scoot
Okay. Yeah.
because does Dallas have that pick this year? No.
Who?
I was just remembering if Dallas had that pick this year, but no,
Oh,
they
yeah, I
don't.
don't know.
That's next year. That's
Okay.
next year.
Hmm.
But like we have a few different trade pieces.
Yeah.
Even if it's this draft or next draft or whatever, we have Matisse, Brogdon, Ant, which is our biggest trade piece. We're gotta have to get off of Jeremy Grant's contract.
Oh, really? You're not a Jeremy Grant believer?
I like him.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
would say, oh my god, this guy is worth. He would be worth a 2 first-round picks if he was getting paid 25 million.
For
But no,
sure. For sure.
he's being paid. Well, not number one guy anymore, but he's being paid more than 2018 Braun. I think
Yeah. Yeah.
it's Blazers should not have given him the contract. we could have signed, I think I did the math, we could have signed like 7 or 8 like good role players in the off season and just waived everybody on our team.
If they just waived everybody.
Yeah, if we just got every roster space open, we could have just signed like a bunch of good role players.
Oh man, I can't even imagine that scenario. That like breaks my brain.
That would have been weird, but
Yeah, it would have been kind of fun though.
that would have just been like a monster deep team around name. But
Right. Interesting. Okay, here's my hot Rupert take.
yeah,
Ryan Rupert's season in the G League is comparable to Bazelis's season in the G League. They're both averaging about 14 points a game, 13.7 for Rupert and 13.9 for Bazelis. Rupert is at 6.2 rebounds, Bazelis is 6.9, and they both average about 2 assists. Their field goal percentage is 43% for Rupert and 44% for Bazelis. This is the main difference. Rupert's 3-point percentage is 44%, and
yeah,
Bazelis is 28.6. And then their free throw percentage is 73% for Rupert and 68.6% for Bazelis, which is close enough for me to, with the one free throw
yeah,
rule, it's like, there's maybe less sample size there. And Rupert is only 5 months older than Bazelis. So this is my, know, big brain hot take is that Ryan Rupert uh, is a steal in the second round because he's showing signs already in his first season
yeah,
of at least the potential there that you see with other maybe
hmm
like more consensus lottery picks.
yeah. Because I feel like similar thing to Shannon Sharp.
Hmm.
If he had stayed another year, he would have been because 2023 was so deep. Repair fell,
Okay, yeah.
but like you could see him being like a top 20, maybe even lottery guy right
Hmm.
now in this
Yeah.
draft. He could even let's see, he could even be top 10.
Top 10 if he were to like stay
Yeah,
another year or whatever.
if he was being this
Yeah.
draft class right now, or like how Shaden would have been like
Yeah.
maybe even going above Scoot
Yeah.
potentially.
If he were to play a year at college and show what he's got
Yeah.
and all that. Yeah. All right, that's my hot take, and I'm sticking to it. Um, so let's see here. Another thing I wanted to talk to you about. You probably saw, a few weeks ago or something. Adam Silver was talking about how they would probably need to reassess the G League Ignite's future with college players being able to, make money on their image and likeness and whatnot. And I'm sure probably also seeing that the Ignite are only winning like 3 games a season. Uh, do you have any ideas on if they were to kind of restructure what the Ignite looks like, how could they do that in a way that makes sense for the league?
Um, I feel like this is this could be crazy and it would be a lot of work, but they could, you know how they used to have the D League?
Hmm. Hmm.
Make that separate from the G League. So there's a
Oh,
development league, which is only draft prospects and only that.
oh,
So it's a bunch
interesting.
of, so then you make sure that coaches are prioritizing team play over individual play.
Hmm.
Like everybody, I think his name was London Johnson, the Ignite
Hmm.
point guard,
Yeah.
was just playing for themselves, trying to get their prospects up, and they make them play as a team. They so it's them going up against people their age and competition
Yeah.
their age, and that could be interesting.
That would be really
Or
interesting.
they just have like before college declaring as mandatory, so players if they don't get assigned would be just be able to go to college. They could potentially do a sort of draft within a different G League draft where they could have all the prospects in a draft pool out of high school go to the G get drafted to different teams in the G League
Yeah, I like that.
or just randomly assigned.
Or just randomly assigned. Yeah. I think that's an interesting idea. So anyone that like doesn't declare for college, but is still, wants to keep their options
or
open.
even before college. So if they
Right.
don't get
Because you could be like
assigned or
17,
drafted,
right?
yeah, before college or drafted,
Yeah.
you could go to college if you don't
Yeah.
get assigned.
That's a really interesting idea. And there's even, there is like a G League draft, but it's like
Yeah,
almost it's almost useless. They might as
yeah.
well.
So you could even make that a separate thing.
Right. That's an interesting idea. That would be pretty unique if you could do that. Because who is it that's on the Ignite? What's his name? He's 17. Uh Let me look it up here. Dink Pate. He's
Oh, I heard of
17
that guy.
and he's not playing very much on the Ignite. Uh, and I'm sure that they're fine with that, but maybe he would rather get some more reps up there with the team that I don't know had a spot for him. I really don't know, but it's a really interesting idea.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's see here. To kind of wrap us up here, uh, what are you hoping the Blazers will do this summer? And then maybe separately, what do you think the Blazers will do this summer?
I hope the Blazers. Hmm, I don't know. I hope the Blazers do not draft, be stupid, and do like the Neil Olshey thing and draft a player that the Clippers wanted or something, and draft like the Devin Carter like first overall or something.
Okay.
But I feel like they should draft Sar, Cody Williams, or Holland with the number one pick, or if they get a top five pick.
Hmm.
If they get 14, I'm fine with anything. I prefer good player. I would like a Tyler Smith or a Keyshawn Salon, Stephon Castle.
Okay.
For 34, however, I do want an NBA ready player. If Ryan Dunn or Justin Edwards somehow fell to us, they are the pick. But if like I'm assuming that Jalen Bridges, Dylan Mitchell, a few NBA ready guys come and contribute. Adame Bona, I don't know how to say his name, but that would be really good. For 40, best player available. Free agency wise, or just off season wise, trade Ant, trade Brogdon, trade Jeremy, maybe
Full
Matisse. He's
youth.
just so frustrated. No, we don't even have to be all youth, but just better fits.
That okay,
We're
sure.
trying to build
Yeah,
around.
that makes
He's
sense.
not in a good situation. We'll say if he was in San Antonio or somewhere random, he would be doing better.
Hmm.
We have to prioritize his development. So Matisse, Jeremy, Brogdon, and Ant all gone. They should be gone. Get whatever we can for them. We can get a first for Brogdon, maybe get a first for Jeremy, but we would have to take on, I don't know, maybe this underdo a sign trade of Gordon Hayward or something.
Hmm.
But then definitely could get two or three first round picks for Ant. Like he has a great value on the market, which we could use to get better fits with Scoot. I know the Blazers said they wanted to be like competitive next year, but I
Right.
almost wonder if we were to tank, like just full on tank,
Just
give the
straight
number one
up.
pick,
Yeah.
we could get Ace Bailey or Cooper Flag, which are like generational talents.
Yeah.
That could be like they're like 6'10" ish. We ha- so let's say we draft Sar. So then we're assuming we trade Ant, Jeremy, Brogdon, Matisse to who knows where. So
Hmm.
we'd have a starting five of Scoot, Shaden. Uh, would repair be starting by then? We're saying
If
2026.
if we're dreaming, if we're dreaming, let's say he's starting by then.
Yeah, we'll say prime time championship team. Scoot, Shaden, Repair, Cooper Flag, Ace Bailey, and Sar.
That is that'd be pretty dope.
Or even one more year, add
Yeah.
add Cameron Boozer.
Cameron Boozer. Oh man, I forgot about that guy for a minute there.
AJ DeBansa.
Okay, now you're beyond me. Who is that?
Another one, Cooper Flag, Carlos Cam Boozer, and Ace Bailey and AJ DeBansa, maybe even Dylan Harper, are like in 2026 and 2025, like franchise. I would call them generational talents. Like
Hmm.
they're going to be superstars.
Yeah.
They're going to be really good.
Okay.
Dylan Harper's on the guard,
Okay, I'll
but
have to watch some highlights.
then basically, or we draft Bronny this year, draft Bryce this year. Braun lasts 4 more years,
Yeah,
and we sign Braun.
I would not hate that at all. I would not hate that. I mean, even though I went through a period where I absolutely hated LeBron, I would be into that by now. That would be pretty awesome.
Yeah.
All right. I love it. Well, we'll kind of wrap it up there. Hey, thanks for talking about all the players that I don't know enough about to talk about and helping me learn a little bit more about them.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see here. I think that's all I have today. Any thoughts to take us away?
Not really, no.
Awesome. All right. Well, go Remix, go Blazers, and thanks so much for chatting with me.
Bye.
All right, bye. As always, thank you so much for joining us on another episode of Kenny's G League. Hope you enjoyed this chat. If you wouldn't mind giving us a quick review on iTunes or Spotify or wherever you're listening to this, it would be much appreciated, and we will catch you next time on the next episode of Kenny's G League.